Hello, Internet, and welcome to the CCS Intermediate week number 4. We are super excited to get going today with Hard Hat Zone versus BCS. Did someone troll me? I thought it was versus. I thought it was Dorado Gaming Iota.
It is Dorado Gaming Iota.
Yeah.
It looks like they threw BCS in just at the top on the draft here because they feel like it.
I've been trolled just a little bit, but we've gotten into draft. I am Seppt alongside Oshi as my color, and we are flying through draft already, Oshi.
Yeah, I mean, bans are out faster than you could possibly imagine. Annie, Ezreal, Irelia coming in with the Xayah, Jarvan, and Camille. We got top, bottom, mid, bans all over the place. Nothing specific going out target-wise. I mean, we're not seeing like one lane, all the bans targeted at them. So they're not trying to drain a particular person's pool, just kind of getting rid of the things that are really, I guess, popular is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and going to be picking up another one of those really popular picks in that Wukong. Definitely a pick that can be flexed towards top lane, but has generally been finding its home in the jungle recently. One of those champions that is very comfortable skirmishing early, as well as building for those consistent long duration fights. But I'm surprised we didn't see something maybe like a Caitlyn or a Varus, considering the popularity of those champions recently. Just to remind everyone as well, we are on a patch day. I do have to apologize. I have not done a patch rundown, so I do not know exactly what all the changes are, but pretty standard so far with the Vi and Wukong.
Yeah, it's nothing that you wouldn't expect to be out of the ordinary. I mean, no major changes are really going to take these two champions away at the same time, right? That's the big thing. Sure, we might see one of them not picked if that particular one got nerfed. Obviously, it did not to the point where these teams aren't comfortable doing it. The Zeri pickup goes right along the same lines as that Caitlyn that you were talking about in the very popular champion pool at the moment for those bot lanes. Again, maybe we'll see the Varus in response to that. I don't remember if anybody ever played the Varus Zeri as a duo lane, but I mean, I also wouldn't put it past some of the crazier players in the higher ranks.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, with Caitlyn actually getting an AD nerf on this patch, 2 AD, so not too crazy, but this is another champion actually that got changed. Jinx getting a nice buff this patch. To pair alongside that Zeri, maybe we'll look to take away an enchanter like that Lulu or Karma. That is very likely to be paired alongside the Zeri. Just because, you know, Jinx and Zeri is one of those matchups where they both kind of want to scale. But if Jinx is able to take away the higher priority of the enchanters, could look to be a very strong early combination coming out from Dorado Gaming Iota as they look to knock down Hard Hat Zone.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what the third pick coming in here. Going for the top lane, I'm assuming the Gwen is going to be going up there. Oh, okay, Fiora is definitely going up there in this situation. So we got the Wukong in the jungle going to be coming in, leaving the supports open. And again, we're going to be looking into the bans here in a second once this last pick comes in. I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of enchanter bans coming out really to try and, I mean, you can't shut Zeri down forever, right? She's going to scale. It's going to happen one way or the other. Jinx, very much along the same lines, but kind of needs a little more help in the early game, I would say, with the lack of mobility, a little more difficulty farming. Malphite coming out to challenge the Fiora in the top lane.
Yeah, I really like that pickup for two reasons. One, because it's a very nice matchup into the Fiora. You get to slow her attack speed with the smash in the ground. You get to slow her movement speed with the rolling boulder, as well as you are just your Malphite. You're the AD Antichrist. You will shut down all of these AD picks that Dorado Gaming have picked so far. And I actually wanted to say I would have liked to have seen the Gwen there actually instead of this Fiora, because if you were going to pick top lane there, it's much better for you to pick something that diversifies your damage profile, as opposed to being stuck into this triple AD carry that we see coming out so far from the blue side. Because we saw the response from Hard Hat. They picked the Malphite. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic. They picked the Malphite, which is going to be a massive problem moving into this game. And realistically, Hard Hat Zone, I'm kind of surprised they're banning Nautilus. But it gives Hard Hat Zone the opportunity to ban away those, really standard and hard carrying AP mids that we could see XBKP pull out. And really diversify this profile.
I actually am going to disagree with you. Something I don't like to do very frequently with a co-caster. I like the Nautilus ban simply for the grounds of Hard Hat Zone does not need engage. Right? Take a look at who they already have. They have two very strong engaged champions in Vi and Malphite alone. Right? Just the R button alone is a huge engage on both sides. It forces a fight guaranteed. Syndra doing the same thing, taking away that engage. Also, both of those champion bans take away massive counter engage. That's the thing, right? So being able to say, we're coming in and there's nothing that any of your champions can do about it, too bad, is kind of what they're looking for with those two bans, in my opinion, especially when, like you said, you have that big beefy Malphite that's going to be just rolling straight through them with the entire AD team one way or the other. So now you've got a Zeri coming in as well. You're obviously, like we keep talking about it, going to be looking for that Enchanter kind of backline to go on the bot lane with the Zeri. I would expect to see them pick up Nami almost, just because it's going to be a strong Enchanter to go with the Zeri, kind of gives the move speed, keeps the mobility. Yeah, Karma will do similar things as well. It was the ultimate. It's the ultimate I was thinking about, though, because a Nami on the hands of Dorado Gaming here will be very strong because it gives that counter engage.
But through all of this, Lulu has made it through, as well as the Seraphine, which are both very strong options to go for here. We wanted to talk about sort of, as you were saying, Dorado Gaming at this point need to let them in, and Zilean is exactly that. If, Hardhead Zone want to, dive onto a champion and really pick them out with this Vi and Malphite, having a Zilean to pair alongside is going to be really nice, especially with that Jinx, who you're going to be able to give a speed up to, and allow her to move very fast around these fights alongside her get excited passive, if she's able to get an assist or a takedown. But I'm kind of curious because I think this Zilean is going to be going towards Blobby, in which case it means that I believe the pushing power will be on Hardhat's favor, just purely because this Karma, is such a strong, lane presence, with all these mantra abilities that she's able to get, and Victor being picked up by Dorado Gaming Iota really does fix that damage profile issue.
Yeah, very much so. Victor being the massive AP that he is. And honestly, Zilean, even in a support role, is going to complement that incredibly well with the bombs coming in to do a significant amount of magic damage. Let's see what we get rounding us out here. What is going to be the counter pick in the mid lane? Give it to me on 5, 4, 3.
My guess would be
2.
something like an Ahri, maybe.
Oh, Yasuo. Okay, they're looking for the old-fashioned wombo combo to the extent that it is no longer a single target engage, right? You get a multi-champion Malphite ultimate that Yasuo, if he gets even just a little bit ahead, hits R, and you're playing Zilean. Who are you putting that ultimate on? You're going to have to pick a favorite.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, if I were to pick, it probably would be something like the Victor, just purely so that...
just for the counter,
just for the counter, for the ability for Victor to come back up and grab and drop down that gravity field. But also, I kind of see the Malphite takeaway now. Hardhead Zone saw this potential combination coming in, and having a Malphite on the side of Dorado Gaming Iota would have been really risky. I say that after, of course, they picked the roles that would have already had it. Either way, I do like this Yasuo pickup. It is sort of going to get bullied out by the Victor, but definitely will have a bunch of opportunities to engage on the immobile mage, with the help of that Vi, as well as with the roams from Karma, who is going to be able to make roams up towards this mid lane with the pushing power that they have in bot. And really
honestly, sorry.
No. I was just going to say, and look to blow Victor's sums with the speed up ability as well as the root that she has in her kit. Go for it.
I was just going to say, honestly, the pushing power, you mentioned it in the bot lane, is obviously very, very much going to go on the side of the Karma and the Zeri, just by abilities alone, right? And considering the fact that Zeri's auto attack is an ability that shoots through everything. But anyways, seeing the mid lane, it's going to be pretty back and forth. Yeah, Yasuo should really get harassed out and kind of pushed under tower by Victor, but that's all going to depend on how they play the Victor in response, right? The biggest thing that I'm taking a look at here, though, is this top lane, right? Yeah, we expect Malphite to counter Fiora, but that's not going to happen immediately, right? That's going to be later on in the game. Once you get those tabbies, once you get a couple more items under your belt to really start to build the armor up and be able to do the damage with it. Prior to that, though, Fiora should really outpush the Malphite, and if Fiora can get far enough ahead with the vitals and the true damage that come with it, it won't matter how much armor you buy on the Malphite. That Fiora is going to kill you in lane every single time. So all Dorado Gaming is going to have to do is survive the 4v4.
Yeah, surviving the 4v4 with something like a Victor, Jinx, and Zilean should be really easy. Just you have so much zone control, with the death laser, with the bombs, even with Jinx traps and zap. So you should be able to, really deny any possibility of engage from the side of Hardhead Zone, as long as you're keeping track of where that Malphite is. If he disappears in the side lane, or if he disappears, in a rotation somewhere, that has to instantly be called out and instantly be recognized and respected by Dorado Gaming. Otherwise, they could very well find themselves getting engaged on from, a wall that they didn't have warded, a wall that they might have thought was safe to them. So it's going to be on people like Blobby, as well as, Bubster and XBKP to use those wards and blue trinkets to the maximum effect. You need to be able to spot out anyone rotating. You need to find the Vi, you need to find the Malphite. Otherwise, you could be in a world of hurt.
Exactly, and that's where it really comes down to something that I find a lot of the time at this, and this isn't dismissive by any means, but at this rank, IGLing we don't talk about very much, right? Who on your team is the final say voice? Who is that person that everybody says, oh, they said go this way, everybody listens to them, instead of having that conversation of, well, I kind of want to push mid, I'm just going to pick up a little more fun. When they say go, it's go, because that is what really matters when you have, like you were talking about, those flank possibilities of, hey, Malphite's not in lane anymore, everybody watch out. Who says, okay, everybody take that step backwards, and does everybody listen?
Yeah, exactly. Clear communication is going to be the key in this game, especially if you're Dorado, just because you have that Fiora we talked about in the side lane. And if she's able to communicate with her team effectively and call out the rotations from those 4 members who are going to be grouped, in what we imagine will be the 4-1, then we could really see Dorado Gaming potentially get ahead of this. But I definitely think the ease of execution is going to be on Hard Hat Zone's side. Just being able to, press your R buttons. And so long as no one oversteps or gets poked out by the Jinx or the Victor, we could be seeing a really interesting game develop just based off these 2 drafts alone. But with that said, we are going to get into the spectator delay really quickly. We'll be back in just a short few minutes, but please stick around and we'll be right back for Dorado Gaming Iota versus Hard Hat Zone Game 1.
No. Him. Seppt.
Always.
No,
I
no,
did.
no, no, no,
I
no.
ran.
Him.
I ran.
Seppt.
I ran. I ran
always.
scuff.
No,
I
no,
did.
no, no,
I
no.
ran.
Him.
I ran.
Seppt.
I ran. Goes so very low against this Fiora, and that's a Fiora, by the way, who did take second wind. So is definitely looking to be, just taking in these cues that Rindo is going to be throwing in. As alternative getting some nice trades in the mid lane on XBKP is going to be looking to deny that first damage as much as possible. But we see an invade coming out from Shady Gecko onto the red buff. And will Vi have done this? No, will not. Shady Gecko is going to go into BBB Llama, gets a very nice trade. Just gonna, say a quick hello as alternative is gonna move up from the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just kind of a little back and forth, just trading blows, but nothing really special, right? Unfortunately for Shady Gecko, the mid lane was pushed in against his team by alternative on the Yasuo, so mid lane wasn't able to come help collapse in the situation of a fight. Top Dream, yeah, probably definitely could have with the push that he has had, but they want to prioritize that, which I respect, because like I was saying, if this Fiora can get ahead and stay ahead, then the Malphite doesn't stand a chance whatsoever. So, but this mid lane fight is the one we really need to be paying attention to. We had said that Yasuo should be getting harassed out of lane. That's not going to happen until probably 7 or 8 as the abilities and the items start coming in. Also started on the shield. Looks like there's a gank coming in there, though. Come on, camera, bring us back.
Yeah, Shady Gecko going to be going into alternative. Does have the Q3 stacked up. Tornado going on to XBKP will miss, but junglers are going to be going after the mid lane. Shady Gecko flashes onto alternative. Alternative flashes away. BKP, not going to get the auto off as Windwall comes out, but BBB Llama just wailing on Shady Gecko here as a 4 summoner trade comes out, and Shady Gecko gets hit with the Q from BBB Llama. Will be taken down for first blood, and a very nicely done fight from Hardhead Zone.
The only, and this is like absolute nitpicking for mistakes in that fight right there, is Shady Gecko had smite. Could have smited a single minion just for the sake of probably would have helped with the amount of damage he
Oh,
took.
wow.
Okay, never mind. Now I have a few things to say.
Alternative just getting a little bit too aggressive there. Thought the Ignite would have been enough damage to take down BKP, but I think he leveled up as
Top Dream,
Alternative
no.
went in, and Top Dream gets hit by the Malphite Q. Ghost pops, but that will do nothing as the Malphite just smacks you into the ground.
And the missing pings up in the top lane. I agree entirely. I mean, they had everything going for them. Dorado Gaming had everything going for them, and they just decided that they didn't want it anymore. Threw it away. Only 300 gold difference now in the favor of Hard Hat Zone.
Yeah, and that was just a very massive overstep from Top Dream. Rindo was down to 0 corrupting potions for that fight. Or actually, I lied. Rindo had not been forced out of his corrupting potions, had TP'd back into the lane and gotten a nice reset on HP, but Top Team trying to force that wave crash just ends up getting a little bit too aggressive. Parry landing onto Rindo, getting a very nice trade, finding the vital mark alongside, but hold on, more fighting going on. Top Team will find the vital flash on Kobayashi still, but that will be the end of it. But this is a bit of a disaster now for Rindo, right? Has the wave pushing away from him, has no TP, and so we'll see if Llama decides to actually come up here and try and fix this wave alongside the stacking CS.
Yeah, at the minimum, Llama should show top just to kind of take the pressure off, clear out that pink ward that's sitting in that bush that they have to know it's sitting there. It's top lane. It's going to be there. Meanwhile, in this bot lane, we were talking about the enchanters and the harassment, and it's a perfectly even lane at this point in time. I mean, like, the CS is different. It's off by 1. The only difference is Bubster hasn't bought yet, so Ohani has a little bit of an item advantage. That's it. That's the only difference here right now in this bot lane, and that was the one that we spent so much time talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's
incredible.
It's even to the point where Blobby and Dragon Moonkick are within 50 gold of each other on their support items. Just not really able to get much done from the Karma there, as this directed camera is just going to keep loving the top lane, but level 6 is coming out on both. Means that I think Rindo is almost within kill pressure range onto Top Dream if he does not have that parry ready. But looking at these junglers, we're going to see Shady Gecko actually go onto this top side here, looking for a cheeky gank onto Alternative who doesn't have any flash. But coming in, Chaos Storm gets dropped. Shady Gecko going onto Alternative, lands the concussive blow, but is not going to find anything, actually, as Alternative is just able to walk it out.
Yeah, unfortunate. No flash for Gecko to kind of hop in and try and get an advantage there. This is just another little brawl in the top lane. It always looks like someone's going to die, and then we got to remember what lane we're watching. They just like to slap each other a little bit. The biggest thing from that failed gank in the mid, though, is this Dragon take. Very good job by Hard Hat Zone. As anybody who watched Season 1 saw, Hard Hat Zone was absolutely phenomenal when it came to their objective control and their rotations around them. Very good at capitalizing on moments like that. Although it does seem that they are... I was trying to look for a ward. There's no wards. This is just an incredible rotation call. This is just a flat call out of, we know you're going to be there.
Ooh, smite landing, though, from Llama means that they get that red buff. But yeah, I was curious as well. Maybe there was a ward that died just before Llama went over the wall, but there seemed to be at least 2 members pinging that the Vi had queued over the wall. But honestly, the missed opportunity from that gank just means that they lose a dragon, they lose out on the red buff. Shady Gecko is going to get pushed out of the jungle as well by Alternative, so everything seems to be going the way of Hard Hat Zone. Except CS. Everything except CS.
Everything except CS.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this top lane, Rindo has been getting washed just a little bit by the Fiora, but again, we didn't really expect much to happen in terms of this top side. You know, the fact that Rindo was able to get a kill is just incredibly well played by them. But other than that, a 40 CS lead coming out from this Vi. Hold on. Vault Breaker going on to BB Llama. In comes the final breath from Alternative as well. XPKP going to do a nice job to drop that field, as well as get a double stun, and Rindo is going to try and hold the wave, but not get much out of it.
If Rindo did choose to fight this, he does have his ultimate up, and Top Dream had already used the parry, but he just decides to walk away. Rindo is playing this incredibly smart most of the time through. Alternative, you're not going to be able to finish that. You already used your ult, but, you know, push him out of the lane, I guess.
Could flash Q Ignite. Oh.
He's not 0-13 yet, so.
Does not have the power spike. But we see the Herald... smite one by BBB Llama means that the Herald is going to go the way of Hard Hat's own flash. Unstoppable Force coming out. Shady Gecko doesn't have the clone anymore. Is going to get just beaten up by the bruisers of Hard Hat Zone. And my goodness, this game is getting a little out of hand.
Shady Gecko only level 5 still. If you look at the mid lanes, they're level 8, top lanes are 7, the enemy jungler is 6. The only people that is only other person level 5 in this game is Dragon Mooncake in the bot lane on the Karma. You need to spend a little more time in your own jungle, mate. Catch up a little bit, else your team is not going to be able to use you. Top Dream.
Top Dream, the party has come to you. Oh,
what?
BBB Llama pulling out of it. I actually like that. It shows a little bit of restraint, right? They don't have the unstoppable force. They don't really have an ignite or anything to really lock down that kill. They are, giving Top Dream a lot of respect to the fact that he could have parried that. But I think ultimately a wise choice because, if you do call his bluff and he is able to get the parry, the parry into the grand challenge, it could have been a disaster. Especially when Llama would have been the one to have to tank that with the shutdown.
Yep, it definitely would not have gone well for them. So I agree with you. It was a very respectful play and ultimately probably the correct play. And Top Dream probably kind of questioning some of his life choices at this moment, just kind of going, why, I'm alive? That doesn't normally happen. Like, so, it's, a bit of a pressure in the bot lane, and then this.
Ooh, cease and desist land, as well as a tornado. Alternative should be able to drop this kill down. Does get a very nice pickup. But, I mean, again, they blew the flash on XBKP earlier with that first gank, and now BBB Llama coming to the mid lane to finish the job, doing just a very nice job tracking those cooldowns and making them punish.
Yeah, the fact that Alternative was able to have that Q3 up and available and then be able to utilize that to stack the CC a little differently than the very first time they went in so that, the Vi ultimate was able to go across.
Here we go, Cyclone coming out onto both. Ohani getting a nice job walking away. Dragon Mooncake is going to try and flash out. Does not get anything done, but again, Unstoppable Force coming out. But the ulti goes down onto the Shady Gecko, and Blobby is not going to get anything done. Gecko going back in, getting the nice trade onto Zeri. So far, a 2-for-2 trade, but a nice TP coming in from Rindo will even out the play.
Yep. Ultimately, very, very good job by Rindo with his target focus on after the ultimate there, making sure that he did go in on the Jinx, who did not have the Zillion ultimate to bring them back. But again, massive turnaround by Shady Gecko to get the second kill to make sure that it was, in fact, a 2-for-2 trade and not just a 2-for-1 trade against them. So, a little thing back and forth going on right there. Looks like we are going to have a rather I don't want to call it damage-focused Wukong yet because he doesn't even have a single item built, but that is what I expect. I don't expect to see a whole lot of tankiness coming out from this Dorado Gaming side at all, especially in comparison to when you're looking at Hard Hat Zone.
I mean, it definitely does look like it's going to be those tabbies, or those, what are they called these days? I call them tabbies still all the time. Those plated steel caps coming out from Shady Gecko. As well as the Divine Thunder. So we'll be going for the fairly standard build these days. But honestly, is 25 CS behind BBB Llama, who has been so efficient on the map so far. As Alternative is going to get a nice trade. Does still have the Ignite up and Flash. Could potentially go a little bit further onto BKP. What is just going to settle for the massive HP trade. Could potentially find even more. Oh, as BBB Llama does try and catch a Shady Gecko, but the traps will dissuade Hard Hat Zone from going any further, I say, as... Ooh, Vault Breaker is going to go the other way. But again, Alternative doing a really nice job getting... Oh, Flash coming out from Alternative does drop the Ignite. And the Tornado will pick up the kill onto BKP as the Cease and Desist comes out onto the bot lane of Dorado Gaming. And the Lightning Crash as well coming down onto Blobby, getting a nice job. The Chrono Chef will land onto Bubster, but Bubster, who doesn't have a heal, is not going to use their Flash to try and get away, knowing that Llama was on the other side of the wall. And ultimately, a 3-for-0 trade for Hard Hat Zone just means that they're going to be able to secure this second dragon as well.
And in typical CCS fashion, all of the fighting happens everywhere at the same time with no possible breathing room for our play-by-play casters. That's absolutely insane. Everybody take a second, give it up for Seppt on play-by-play for one of the first times he said he's very not something that you do frequently, and you're doing wonderful, my friend.
I definitely already forgot once that I was play-by-play this game. The gank in the mid lane, I paused for a brief second because I thought that someone was gonna jump in, and I remembered that it was me who was supposed to be the one to jump in. But I mean, that's just really great from Hard Hat Zone. They were able to find that awesome 3v3 onto the bot side, use the Cease and Desist as well as, the Lightning Crash to just get so much damage on top of Bubster and Shady Gecko that even through the Chrono Shift, they were able to knock down that 80 carry. And we see the Gold Leaf Balloon to 3k now, as well as 2 Dragon Leads coming out, for Hard Hat Zone. Should mean that we are going to be getting close potentially to those bounties. But I think this Herald... Oh, BKB does have Flash now. Will they decide to use it? No, just deciding potentially to give up their life. Ooh, hold on. But alternative missing that Q could mean that BKB might flash this now.
Oh, no.
But a Shady Gecko is here. TP coming in behind as the Cyclone comes out. Immortal Shield will popped, but Top Dream is here. Does have the Grand Challenge. Is going to try and go for it. Onto Shady Gecko. Will get a very nice parry, but it's blocked by the Wind Wall. Tornado coming out. BBB Llama using the Cease and Desist. But coming out with the Chrono Shift means that Top Dream should be able to walk it out with the Ghost. But as it times out, the alternative might be looking with the Tornado, but will instead decide to back it up and regroup with their team.
That was a whole lot of nothing that just went on right there. A lot of abilities expended, a lot of summoners traded in and out here, but ultimately what comes from it, Hard Hat Zone having just a little bit more control. Once again, right place, right time on everything that they used, everything that they abused, and they are going to be the ones to pick up this Herald once more. I mean, you can't blame Alternative for thinking that that was a dead-to-right victor in his hands right there, but at the same time, man, secure your kills. Right? There's no such thing as a kill steal, friends. There is only kills secured.
Yeah, I mean, just missed that Steel Tempest by a little bit. And off screen, actually, the most important thing happened of that entire engagement, and that was that the mid tower went down to the wave of Hard Hat Zone while they're grabbing that Herald. And with the mid tower dropping, we should be able to see Alternative start to push in these mid waves even further, because BKP will not be able to step up and catch the waves as high as normal, as we can already see, having to catch the wave behind where the tier 1 would have been. And this is just going to mean the Hard Hat Zone is going to be able to put vision even deeper into Dorado's jungle, and Ohani just does not have the health to secure this tower.
No, there was no possible way for him to keep that alive on his own down there. The really important thing, though, on top of that mid lane tower having gone down, is that it went down without the second Herald. That Herald is still in hand, so they're going to be able to open up yet another lane as Top Dream. I mean, you're not trading so hot up here anymore, my friend. You need to start rethinking where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing, because this Malphite no longer cares about your blade.
I think Top Dream is a little confused. The way that he's trading currently is the type of way that you would trade if you were playing as a Divine Sunder or Fiora. You don't quite have the penetration or the health gain that you would have playing, with a Gourd Drinker. Yes, you have the ability to proc those vitals, but it is not going to be nearly as useful when you're trying to get those trades. And Shady Gecko has no idea what's waiting for them. Vault Breaker going to land immediately. Will Shady Gecko be able to get the Kelowna? No. Cease and Desist coming out, as well as the Roof from Dragon Mooncake, just means that the Wukong will fall to a 1-5-1 scoreline. Just, not able to get anything going this game.
It has not been friendly whatsoever for the Monkey in this matchup. It's just super unfortunate. He started off incredibly well, had a good invade, managed to force Llama off the red buff early on, and that was kind of the end of it. He wasn't able to do much else beyond that, had no super presence in lane. Now we get to see Alternative try once more down here, but just going to walk away while on fire. There's nothing more Yasuo than burning while you walk away from someone.
BKP has done something interesting as Vault Breaker going to land, but a very nice parry coming out as the Grand Challenge goes onto the target that I did not expect it to go on, and it is just going to be a slaughter onto Top Dream.
I mean, the Grand Challenge didn't get you anywhere because you had no fight left in you.
Yeah, I mean, could have maybe done something to Rindo if they were able to drop it onto the Malphite, but Bubster and Blobby up here actually doing a nice job catching that wave. We just saw how much damage that rocket did to the shield of Llama, and it's nothing. But I wanted to call something out, as BKP is dead to rights. Even if this wave doesn't get in, the bot lane of Hard Hat Zone should be able to stick around for this next wave, and Alternative is not going to let BKP live here, as BKP does smell it. But it doesn't matter, as Ohani is going to come down, does not have the flash anymore, but the Chaos Storm is going to do a nice job trading back. BKP could potentially look for something back onto the ADC of Hard Hat Zone, but will, just not have quite enough gas to get it done.
Yeah, the Immortal Shield bow is in hand there, on top of the Karma Shield, on top of the Karma damage. It wasn't going to happen. Alternative didn't even show up to that, right? Alternative just stayed on the farm and then stayed on the tower. Tower does go down, and again, by the way, Herald is still in hand for Vi right now, so they could look to push a tier 2 tower at some point if they chose to.
They definitely could. Something just to note is that we see the Vi already finishing their second item with that Radiant Virtue. Just going to be able to tank that much more and set up that much more. And Top Dream, you have no idea what's coming. This is so disrespectful to be even close to this wave. Ghost popped, is going to try and get top, but Cease and Desist coming out. This could be potentially overreaching as the last breath comes in. Lightning Crash coming down. Top Dream is going to be able to walk it out. Shady Gecko does not get rooted up by Dragon Mooncake. And we see potentially Ohani coming back onto the other side. but Herald gets dropped.
Everybody here except Kobayashi, that charge does get off somehow. I don't know how Shelly made that dash right there. Good on her. But that pink ward in the tri-bush is what I wanted to bring up. They walked right across that and just said, forget it, we're coming at your face all the way to Top Dream, who did have to burn everything to get out of that alive. And Kobayashi didn't even consider teleporting down to that fight. He just was happy to stay top lane, farm up a little bit more, and at 4-0, by the way, he's only 300, 400-ish gold behind this Fiora, even though he's over 60 CS down.
Yeah, Top Dream has just been farming that much better, despite having so much attention from Llama and, Rindo, as well as Dragon Mooncake as well, who decided to make a jaunt up there earlier in the game. But just being able to farm well and get those turret plates down means that the Fiora is going to be in a fairly decent spot, as they're going for a little bit of an interesting build. Going for the... I don't like the Gore Drinker here. I think it's personally too much. I know they have a lot of melees on the side of Hard Hat Zone, but I think if you're playing Fiora, just going for something more standard, well, we saw the value of it there, right? Getting to be able to proc the Vital. But going for something... Ooh, Top Dream. I can't get my point now, as Top Dream's going to get Cease and Desist into the last breath, but traps coming down from Bubster. It should mean that we will be able to see Top Dream get out safe. Does have a nice use of the Gore Drinker there onto 3, but will come up. Is not going to get hit by the Tornado. BBB Llama could be potentially a little overextended here, as Top Dream, you do not have the Chrono Shift on you anymore. Tries to get the parry out, but is not going to. BBB Llama whiffs on the massive 3-man ulti from Rindo. Kobayashi is going to find the backline, but Trade's going all over this as Hard Hat Zone is so low, and Shady Gecko is there with full HP. Alternative should be able to walk it out. Bubster flashing forward to get the last bit of damage. Alternative flashing forward. Oh, not going to get enough. As Shady Gecko finds a very nice way back into this game, and is going to be able to secure that fight win for his team.
That was an absolutely insane fight right there. I have to give so much props to Top Dream. I don't know if you were watching how closely he absolutely finessed Ohani out of 75% of their health bar, but he sidestepped every single Q. Forever and ever and ever, and he had 50 HP left, and he was going left, right, auto once, left, right, and Ohani could not land a Q on him until finally they just right-clicked and killed them normally. Absolutely mind-blowing on how long he stayed alive after he was dead to rights, after the Chrono Shift brought him back, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we watch the fight, right, and it just looks like Hard Hat Zone was maybe just a little bit discoordinated. And Dorado did a really nice job of, capitalizing on that. We saw BBB Llama going, out as Rindo Kobayashi went in, and so no one was really in the fight at the same time together. And, that really just allowed Bubster, Blobby, and BKP all to trade aggro, in terms of, all the trade aggro throughout that fight. At Top Dream is going to potentially find Rindo. Is just going to get a nice little trade and pop the shield, but that Malphite does not care still.
He's got Thornmail, he's got Plated Steel Caps, he's got Iceborne Gauntlet. There's absolutely nothing in Top Dream's repertoire that he is afraid of at this point in time. On top of that, Top Dream also picking up the Plated Steel Caps themselves. There's no armor pen on Top Dream right now, so there's absolutely no fear whatsoever.
No, there's no armor pen. Is going to be working towards that Hydra, as we said before, but with no Divine Sunder, you're not really going to have any way of doing meaningful damage to Rindo. You're probably just going to be doing enough to pop the passive shield every time. And that's not going to be enough to really apply pressure in the side lane. And this build that Fiora was going for is more of a team fighting build. So, as we saw before, Top Dream... actually, that's... I wanted to mention this before. Top Dream had been parrying the Qs from Rindo, which are the ones that slow you down. And letting the E from Rindo actually hit them, which is the thing that actually slows your attack speed. I think if Top Dream is able to parry, I'm going to look up the ability names, so I'm going to be referencing them, for a lot. It's actually just called Ground Slam, Malphite's E. Shocker. Yep. But if Top Dream is able to parry those Ground Slams more effectively and more often, that should actually be seeing them winning a lot more of these trades. As I really like this from Hard Hat Zone. They're grouping up, they're going together, and they're trying to get this vision set up for the dragon that is just about to spawn.
Yeah, taking a look at it, there's also about 100 damage difference between the Ground Slam and the Q. So the Ground Slam doing 100 damage more, even though it's only 2 ranks versus 4 ranks. So yeah, very much worth parrying that instead. Are we going to see a fight for Drag?
This dragon goes down to to Vi already, as we see the Wall Breaker potentially getting charged up here. But it's just going to be a Mantra E, and Hard Hat Zone are going to walk out with the Dragon Soul.
Just in and out, nothing to think about. But this
Oh,
is
hold
a
on.
huge choke point.
Yeah, it's a huge choke point, and we see two members going over. Ohani and Llama just being able to Kobayashi going onto the clone is not going to find anything, but there's a lot of members stacked up here for Dorado Gaming. Can Rindo potentially find the window onto them? But nothing could have happened. Just a whole lot of standing around potentially. Top Team getting a nice trade. Ooh, hold on. Alternative does have the NATO. Rindo is looking for their targets. Top Team is potentially caught out here. Season just is coming out. Means that Top Team is going to be caught. Ooh, last breath landing onto 2. Means that Blobby's going to go down instantly. But the massive Cyclone coming out onto the entire team of Hardhead Zone means that Bubster and BKP are allowed to hit for free. Shady Gecko is going to go down. And, ooh, Alternative is going to pick up a very nice kill. And ultimately, it's just going to be a 2-for-1 trade for the side of Hardhead Zone.
Chrono Shift did not get used in that fight. That is the biggest thing that I noticed in that whole thing, was that Blobbery just never had the chance. He did not have a good opportunity to say, oh, this is the person that's going to die, I'm going to drop my ult on them, because everybody went low at the same time between Gecko himself. It was just, there was so much chaos, and honestly, it didn't look like he would have to ult anybody. It looked like they were going to take the fight at one point in time when that grab field kind of brought everybody on Hardhead Zone into one location right in the middle of the chaos storm, and that is not at all how it turned out.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to credit Hardhead Zone right now. The carries and the durability of these carries is such that BKP and Bubster were free hitting for almost that entire fight, and no lasting damage was really there for the side of Dorado Gaming. Granted, Shady Gecko did find themselves a very nice Cyclone onto the majority of the front line of Hardhead Zone, just not really able to shred enough armor with that Cleaver or with that Sunderer. And it just meant that, Alternative was able to escape with 1 HP as well as find consistent crit strikes with those Steel Tempests. And Ohani, who is only going to get stronger in this game, was able to just free hit with that Lightning Crash. And, I mean, the gold is super even. Despite, the Dragon Soul for Hardhead Zone and, the 6-kill lead, the gold is, almost parity. It's 700 gold in the favor of Hardhead Zone. But, I mean, that's, that is minuscule when it comes to the potential outcome of a fight.
So you threw my ADHD brain right out the window when you called Ohani Ohana, because now I want a support main who plays by Ohana that mains Thresh, because no one gets left behind.
True. Yeah, everyone is, family. Family never gets left behind. I need to actually say something because, while the gold lead is, very similar and in favor of Hardhead Zone, we always talk about, I feel, in situations like this where Hardhead Zone has such a wombo combo comp that the gold lead doesn't matter. What is going to happen when the gold lead is even?
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that the gold lead is relatively even right now, and we are seeing incredible fights out of both sides, even though up until 30 seconds ago, all of the map pressure was on Hardhead Zone side. All of it, right? They had all the towers taken in comparison up until the last couple of minutes, and now you take a look at it, and everything is where it should be in a very fair game. So at what point in time do the hyper carries have to take over? You were talking about just how bulky, just how tanky this Hardhead Zone team is when, Bubster had the free fire, was able to just kind of go for a couple seconds straight, and basically no lasting damage was done. At what point is that too much for Bubster, or at what point does Bubster finally kind of come online and this Jinx really starts doing massive things?
I think it's about now, actually, with those 3 items completed, but Shady Gecko is going to be able to just drop their clone and fly over the wall. Hardhead Zone trying to go for a cheeky Baron there. But, I mean, talking about how even this game is currently, if you had looked at the word lines before that play just there, hold on. Rychainz has popped. Here comes the Cease and Desist on to the Zillion. Does have a chance to use that stopwatch. Will be able to pop. Oh, will not. A very nicely timed Vault Breaker coming off from BBB Llama means that Blobby is going to be going to the Death Chamber without using the Chrono Shift, as Rindo is just going to smash Top Troop. And off-screen, Shady Gecko gets caught by the 3 members of Hardhead Zone. And this should mean that Baron is completely on the table for Hardhead Zone.
So let's roll back 2 minutes. We were saying, what happens? What happens when they team fight at even goal? We don't know.
Yeah,
we're not gonna find out. Instead, they're gonna 4-1, and all of the kills are gonna go over to Hardhead Zone because they all have individual leads in the situations that they needed them in. They are now 4K ahead, double the number of kills with Baron on their side, and guess what? Drake is spawning.
Yeah, this is a pre-Elder Drake, which means that Hardhead Zone is going to have full lane priority in whichever lanes they decide to go to. And I hope it is going to be, a 4-1. You send the Malphite bottom, and you send the other 4 remaining players towards that mid lane. And they'll just be able to continuously crash waves onto the towers of Dorado Gaming until this Elder Dragon spawns. And during that time, they should be able to get entire vision control of this bot side. We already see quickly before Dragon Mooncake moves all their wards, we see the vision dominance on that top side. And, with the Baron buff, we should see this trio of Ohani, Rindo, and Dragon Mooncake just move into the bot side of Dorado Gaming. But BB Llama could actually find top stream here, as 4 members are spotted in mid. Ooh, will not. Shady Gecko actually going to go in, lands the Cyclone onto 2. Ohani almost gets one shot. Shady Gecko failing to flash into the wall. It means that this play will just pit her out. Hold on, BBB Llama does not want it to end. Alternative is going to find the last breath onto Shady Gecko. Second cast of the Cyclone, but the Unstoppable Force misses, and top stream TP's onto the backline, finds Ohani, but the Cease and Desist is going to find the top laner of Dorado Game, who's going to be trying to parry as a massive fight going on in the top lane. Alternative 1v3 is still alive. Oh, not doing enough as the Vault Breaker comes in, is going to be able to take down the 80 carry of Dorado Gaming, and it will be an ace for Hardhead Zone.
Alternative, unquestionable MVP of that fight, helps turn not just the initial re-engagement by Llama into a massive pickup, but as you said so crisply, 1v3ing in that mid for so long, utilizing all of his abilities, all of the sustain that comes in with his itemization, picking up a kill and getting everybody else so incredibly low that it was just a nice, easy cleanup. And that was without having to use the actual wombo combo of the Unstoppable Force and the Last Breath. I mean, you wanted to know what was going to happen? Alternative happens.
Yeah, they don't even need the wombo combo as the Unstoppable Force whiffed in that fight. But either way, I actually don't like this. Hardhead Zone made a little bit of a whoopsie. They took the Elder Dragon with about 4 seconds left on Alternative's death timer. And we do have a quick pause here, but a quick resume as well. We should be back into this fairly shortly. I don't quite know, sort of what's going to happen here. But, I mean, missing out on that Elder Dragon for Alternative is actually going to be a fairly rough... are you also stuck at the game will resume in 0 seconds? Just out of curiosity?
It'll come in. We just get to sit with a little bit of Insepia right now. You know how it is. We get the cool colorations. We're back in. Remember, folks, it is going to stutter a little bit at some point in time because that is what happens. League is with its small indie development team haven't perfected pauses yet. So.
Yeah, haven't perfected pauses, but they did perfect the ability to make an exciting team fight. But we should to see it's not Dorado Gaming, sorry, Habit. We should see Hardhead Zone march down mid lane with this double Uber buff.
There it is.
Here's the pause as we get to see Malphite nicely slapping that bot wave, and we're back. But the 4 members of Hardhead Zone are going to be hitting onto this mid tower, perhaps maybe a little bit early, as Rindo is not there. Does have the TP to join if a fight does break out. But we'll just be going for that first inhib onto the bot side, as Rindo is going to be crashing that wave on bot.
They just allowed that 4v5 inhib to be taken. I mean, the Elder Drake is terrifying, but you're just letting your base go away at this point in time, right? That's all you're doing by standing around, not trying to take a fight. You're under tower. You were 5v4. Now you're 5v5. It's just not happening. Never mind. Fiora's in the mid lane. Fiora's not even there.
Yeah, top stream does not have TP.
People were just pinging Fiora constantly right there. I don't know if anybody saw that, but there's definitely a little bit of miscommunication, and now Top Dream is now running.
Yep. Oh no! Oh, Unstoppable Force trying to go into XRP, misses, but the Lightning Crash, it should be able to find the initial execute potentially onto BKP. Does have the Chrono Shift on them, but will be able to just walk it out with the usage of that Empowered Q on the Victor, as well as the speed buff coming out from Blobby. A whiffed engage from Rindo. BKP didn't have flash, so a little questionable because Rindo did short the ulti as well. But either way, should not really stop them too much, as the massive shields coming out from Karma, as well as still having that Elder. BBB Llama is going to find the massive engage onto BKP, but the Cyclone coming out is looking to try and trade back onto the side of Hardhead Zone. It's not going to do, but Bubster is popping off, does have the Get Excited passive going, and is going to do a lot of damage to Llama and Ohani, and could potentially be enough. Actually, Ohani is going to get caught out. Massive damage coming out from Bubster. Does have the 300, but the Unstoppable Force is back. Does not miss it this time, as the Chrono Shift is going to go into Bubster. But Top Team is going to try and find Ohani. The health bars are so low for Top Team, or for the side of Hardhead Zone rather. But Bubster, does not go down.
It does.
is going to die to the super minion as Ohani, it's saved by Dragon Mooncake rather, and Top Team is going to get rooted up, I say, as they go for the parry. And that is, Bubster almost performed a miracle there, as I don't know how they didn't get executed by the dragon. I imagine it must have ran out as they hit him.
Yeah. So it ran out, as far as I could figure, it ran out right around the time that the chrono shift came through. The biggest thing, though, is that laser from Ohani. Remember, when it goes through...
I thought you were going to say that Rindo landed ulti, but...
Sure. No, I mean, that's him missing an ulti is more important than him landing one. He has actually scored relatively high in the percentage category for most Malphites. So, I'll credit where credit's due.
Sorry, you were saying Ohani's
well
laser.
The laser through the inhibitor tower. No, the inhibitor tower onto Bubster is what turned that fight around and ultimately what killed Bubster. So
yeah, I mean, even with the chrono shift, it's not going to have enough HP, reviving in that fight to actually be enough. The Zilean does have a Zhonya's in the game, which means that they're not really going to have any other supportive items besides that Shirelia's. But Last Breath going to find the Zilean, I say, who does not use the Zhonya's, but instead opts to use the chrono shift. It's going to try and use the Zhonya's now, though, as alternative is just having their way with the backline. Although, I say, as Bubster actually does a very nice job coming to the aid of Shady Gecko, and Blobby was able to actually get out of that with the use of Exhaust and Flash. Means that Bubster now is on the advance, but the Mantra Shield's coming out means that Top Team now actually could potentially be in danger. But with Cease and Desist available from BBB Llama, we could see them use it. Decides not to use it for now. Finds the Vault Breaker. It's just going to be womboed into, infinity, as Ohani is just going to do a nice job kiting at the Fiora and will pick up that kill.
To give you an idea of what's been going on in this game in terms of damage versus tankiness, when Bubster auto-attacks, let's say Ohani, for example, right? With the rockets, he will crit him for 700 or so. When he was critting Kobayashi, it was for 188. Crits.
Yeah, I mean, with their passive currently, Kobayashi has 740 armor.
384 attack damage on Bubster.
Oh boy,
and it was critting for half that.
Yeah, ADC is having fun in this game with a Malphite in there. But I mean, we should see the game potentially closed out here in these next couple minutes. But I mean, again, Hard at Zone is going to have a chance to get the double Uber buff again, as they have this Baron into Rift Herald timer basically on repeat, and it's going to be really nice for them as pings actually go into the base of Dorado Gaming from Hard at Zone, and they're going to be marching down as 5. Rindo maybe a little bit further behind. Yeah, 5.5, 4.5, whatever the math
5.5. Oh, really? Who's the other half?
Malphite's shield actually is the other half.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. But actually, BBB Llama going over the wall is potentially trying to threaten that cease and desist. But they have, supers coming in on the bot wave, and these mid inhib will be spawning actually in a second. Again, these magic shields are just going to be so nice. But cease and desist lands onto the Victor, and lightning crash onto 2 means that Ohani's going to be doing so much damage, but ulti only finds onto 1 from alternative, but it's just going to be on that bot side. The chrono shift onto Zilean means that he will come up into this fight, but there is no team left for Bubster to fight around, and Top Dream has had enough of this karma and their speed ups. Trying very hard to hold on to this game, but it will not be enough as Hard at Zone takes game 1.
We spent so much of that game talking about the wonderful gameplay brought to you by Kobayashi, Llama, and Alternative, and they're stacking ultimates, and they're stacking abilities, and the overall rotations that they did together. But your true kill pickup MVP unquestionably goes through to Ohani right there. 10-2 at the end of the game, doing phenomenal numbers. 32,000 damage coming out by them, 11.0 KDA. Absolutely incredible gameplay by Ohani on the Zeri, but Zeri doing Zeri things all the way through. Very safe, very destructive.
Yeah, Ohani did a great job in that game, realizing the space that was created by their 3 melees and just using that space created to find the, max range lightning crashes to be able to stack up those passives and just dance around the fights. And Dragon Mooncake as well, doing a great job to provide shields and speed ups to that Zeri to just make them sort of the unstoppable force in this game. Again, top damaging as well as top kills. But the full, KDA, full kill participation does go to, Dragon Mooncake, getting 25 of those 31 kill credit points. But just did a really nice job. I mean, this game was going back and forth. We talked about how even it was. But the fact that Hard at Zone, again, had the ease of execution composition as well as such a tanky front line just meant that they were really able to, drive home this winning composition.
Yeah, when you have an R means go kind of composition, it's classic. Anybody who's played League of Legends more than a handful of times understands it, right? It's as simple as one person hits R, and then everybody else hits R, and the other team dies. And that's one of the things that you love in League of Legends. It's one of the strongest compositions you can generally play in League of Legends, assuming that the meta allows you to play it and it's not strictly a poke comp meta. And honestly, I'm very proud of how they played it. Right? It was incredible. It was well executed. We did not see the Yasuo strictly relying on Malphite ultimates for his ultimates. We saw it following up with the Vi a lot of the time, which was good because it was single target takeouts, and that's what they needed to do. Because once they cleaned up one, they were able to control a significant amount of the fight just with Malphite buying space, like you mentioned, for the Zeri.
Yeah, the composition of Dorado was kind of constructed like a house of cards, where if one falls, so does all the others. But I mean, this is really exciting because that game could have gone in either direction. I feel if potentially Dorado Gaming hadn't overcommitted on a couple of those fights in the early game, that really led to the gold lead and the XP lead that Hardhead Zone had throughout a lot of that game. Then we could have potentially seen a lot more of a interesting late game. But with Hardhead Zone, playing the way they played and Dorado Gaming, clawing their way back into that game to bring the gold lead to even. I'm excited to see what we get in game two. But with that said, we are going to take a short break as these teams get back into lobbies, and we will come back to you with game two draft.
Oh, we're live, and he didn't say anything. I love it when they do that. We are already
Wonderful.
whipping our... I didn't hear anything. I'm sorry.
You cut yourself off.
Cut yourself. Anyways, it happens. It is what it is. CCS big production budgets only going on. Welcome to CCS_law, rolling into game number 2 of this Wednesday night classics. We have bans out and Xayah already picked up for Hard Hat Zone, as at least that's what they're leaning towards. Who knows? Run us through the bans real quick and let us know what you think based off last game.
Yeah, I mean, Hard Hat Zone definitely angling towards denying Top Dream anything that can fight in the top side. They said that Fiora was was too much. We don't want to play against it. We want Rindo to be able to play, a supportive tank in that top side, which, leads me to think they might actually pick up something potentially like an Ornn in this first phase, and just really deny Iota from picking something that could counter it. But on the other side, Dorado Gaming Iota sort of spreading around the board, denying the Jarvan, Irelia, and Annie, means that they're sort of looking for a more standard composition. They don't want to get pinched in by the Jarvan Cataclysm or the Tibbers. And we see two potentially classic bot lanes coming out if Hard Hat decides to lock in that Rakan. But Xayah into the Lucian Nami is meaning that Dorado Gaming is going to have a very aggressive bot lane.
Yeah, and I love the aggressive bot lane pickup here. I think it's going to suit them very well. We saw just how well the Jinx was doing later on in the game. So get that spike a little sooner in the hands of, on the champion of Lucian here. And with the Nami kind of, like you said, the classic support in that, just really pushing Lucian a little farther. We're going to see a very aggressive bot lane. That Nautilus is probably going with that Xayah. I don't think I've seen Nautilus go anywhere but bot lane in the last while. I mean,
I've experimented with Nautilus jungle, yeah,
and that's why you're on the microphone. And here,
exactly. Yeah.
We've all been there. Sejuani picks up, so that
fair.
confirms that it's going to be Sejuani in the jungle with the Nautilus support. Is going to be a bloodbath of a bot lane.
Are we gonna get 2 more top lane bans coming out from Hard Hat Zone going into?
I hope so. I do
too.
I want to see Gangplank Jax.
Gangplank got nerfed. Oh, wait, I really like this pickup from Iota. I really like this Ornn pickup. It gives you the late game scaling to pair alongside the Lucian Nami. It gives you that front line that is going to be able to eat those Glacial Prisons as well as those Nautilus hooks. And it also denies what I believe Hard Hat Zone was setting up for themselves. And it means that Dorado Gaming not only does not have to spend a ban on Ornn in this game, it also means that whatever Hard Hat Zone decide to pick up for themselves, it shouldn't matter. So I expect Iota to ban 2 mid laners here, potentially something like that Victor. Or the Yasuo. I don't know why I said Victor. That was what Iota played.
Yeah.
Yasuo gonna be the ban, as it does pair very nicely with the. Oh, I am lying.
It's supposed to be a Gragas
ban. It is a Gragas ban. Interesting that Iota is taking away more beefy frontline when they. Actually, I could see it. It is a fairly typical top laner actually, and it's a good matchup into the Ornn.
Yeah, and I don't really know. I can understand wanting to shut that down, right? You don't want to have a good matchup into the Ornn, especially after the way that it went last game, where Dorado Gaming Iota had that early game advantage in the top lane with the Fiora into the Malphite, and then ultimately that gets flipped on its head into the later game. They don't want to have that happen again. Ornn is an incredibly strong later game champion. Fiora has the potential to be as well. It just didn't turn out in their favor that game. So, okay, Lilia.
I believe I'm just gonna take a gamble and guess that Rindo is a Lilia top player.
Yeah, there's not many of them.
There's not many of them. I mean, most top laners who played last year, probably. I'm getting confirmation from their coach that Rindo is indeed a top lane Lilia player. But yeah,
Insider info.
Yeah, insider info. I mean, I was gonna say if you played top lane in the last year, at one point or another, you should have been expected to learn the Lilia, as well as I was going to say the Sejuani, which is something I was looking at. But Dog Iota should be looking to pick up their jungler here, and I'm curious as to what it will be. They're deciding to match beef with beef. I thought they might do that, but in a different form. I was thinking of something like a Hecarim potentially being the pickup for Iota.
Ooh, I would like that.
I would have liked that as well, but Zach sort of performs a similar job, just with more of an AP focus. Is going to be that drain tank, heavy engaged style of pick. That could actually look to punish the Xayah as well and just stick on top of her and deny her from playing the game.
Yeah, definitely one of the few champions that can actually stick on top of a Xayah throughout several opportunities in a fight. Obviously, Xayah being very good at getting away with her ultimate there. Cassiopeia locked in very
That could be a
quickly
top
by
lane
Hard
pick.
Hat.
That could be a top lane pick.
Oh, that would be interesting as well. Can we get a coach's corner on if that's going to be a top lane pick? No, apparently we're not getting
No,
any
we're
insider
not
photo.
gonna get any
We're not
inside
getting any
information.
more.
We'll find out. We'll
insider.
find out in 12 seconds what it'll be, but
I
I
think
don't
that
want to
tells
bait
me it
everyone.
is.
It might be.
Either
It might
way,
be.
we're gonna have. Yeah, is that our top lane?
Oh,
No.
tragic.
Okay, so this is an incredibly tank-heavy composition on Hardhead's own side. It's 3 of the 5 right there, obviously. Good mix of damage. Mundo obviously is going to play a similar role to the Zac in that kind of drain damage and just really being a pain. Lucian has enough mobility that he should be able to get away from that. So let's see what they choose to go to for this mid laner, because they need to mix up their damage a little bit as well. And we need something bursty.
I was thinking Kassadin, but Ziggs also could have been a potential pickup here. It is going to be able to keep those tanks at range a little bit. Maybe Kassadin would have been too much scaling, but Ziggs is going to be a nice pickup for Iota. It is going to have some AP damage to pair alongside that Zac. It is a very nice combination with the Nami, actually. We'll be able to use those empowered abilities to get some nice poke onto the front line. But I do want to talk about this Cassio.
Yeah.
It is a very, very nice matchup into the picks that Dorado Gaming have picked so far. It really denies three of the 5 champions. It denies the Lucian, Ornn, and Zac from really being able to play the game if they get too close or if they... Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It denies them from playing the game if they get into the wrong positions, because Cassio will be able to drop down that miasma. And if the Ornn does call down the Forge God a little bit too close to the snake, as they say in proverb, snake beats ram. They don't, but I'm gonna go with it. Either way,
Acid beats rock.
Acid beats rock. Over time. I mean, I guess that shows here as well. It'll take probably a long time to beat down this Ornn. But the way that this draft has sort of, unfolded, it means that the Lucian Nami is going to have to work very hard in this game to have an effect.
Yeah.
With the Nautilus, Sejuani, and Mundo all piled on, Cassio as well is going to be going for something probably like a Roa, as well, which means that she's going to be tanky, alongside everything, and that Xayah is not going to be able to get hit by the Lucian at all, in this game, and so
shouldn't
be able to.
Yeah,
let's not say it won't.
The real difficulty in this game is going to be engaging for Hard Hat Zone, right? Because you take a look at everything that's on the opponent's team, and that's like the last thing that you want to be doing is trying to engage on that, right? I mean, you hook Ornn, you hook a Zac. Okay, good for you, kind of thing. It doesn't matter. Even if you hook the Ziggs, if you don't instantly kill them, you have a Nami tidal wave, the Ornn Horn, and Zac flying in at you with the culling over top of it all.
I mean, if this game goes late, I find it difficult for Iota to win, purely just because you're going to see so much stacking coming out from Hard Hat Zone. I honestly anticipate something like an Anathema's Chains being placed onto the Lucian in this game, just because everyone else is doing AP damage. Right. Granted, the Ornn does some mix, but it's primarily AP. So I anticipate Mundo or Sejuani, or maybe even both, going to be picking up an Anathemas and then stacking complete magic damage or magic resistance.
Well, and even at that, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I would say even at that, Lucian does a lot of mixed damage himself, right? Like, yeah, it is primarily AP or AD damage, but he does a lot of magic damage mixed in.
Yeah. And something that I kind of want to think about is sort of how these build paths are going to go. Whether the Nautilus is going to go for something like that Locket, or if they're going to look for something maybe more aggressive. I'm blanking on the name of the support item at this point. Evan Trout, thank you very much.
Shirelia's right here.
Honestly, Shirelia's might not be terrible either. I think
Stoneplate Cassio.
Ooh, maybe sixth item.
Seventh item.
Seventh item. Are you even on stream? Can they hear you talking right now? Like,
oh,
okay. We're talking with the voices in our head.
So our producer is one of the coaches, and he's trolling us.
Yeah, you coach.
We thought you guys could hear him.
Players. No, he coaches these players. Some of these players in a different league, I believe. So did have a little bit of inside information. But, I mean, knowing alternative, Cassio is definitely a comfort pick for them and is sort of a different style from what we've seen them play. I think generally, when it comes to their picks, it's generally a lot more of, assassin style, let me, completely out-micro you sort of style of picks. But with this Casio coming out, we could see, alternative, maybe take a backseat in this game, sort of rely a bit more on Llama and Dragon Mooncake to sort of make these plays happen. Um, but I mean, with that said, we saw them doing it anyway,
Casio
right?
can do that themselves. Casio can
That's also true.
altogether become a huge mobility, outplay you type of champion. Just if as long as you're landing the Qs, you have that bonus movement speed on your side. All you have to do is dodge the skill shots while you target spam E. I'm sure he has the micro ability to do that. But one of the things that I'm glad you brought up, because I wanted to talk about it with this Ziggs pick, is the lack of assassins on Hardhat's team. That is why I think Ziggs makes a wonderful pickup here. It lets them draw the game out just that little bit longer. That's why I think it's a better pick than the Kassadin that we spoke about, as well as anything else that I could have possibly listed off in that time, except maybe Azir. But
Yeah, Azir or Nivea would have been the only other options, I think.
Exactly. It gives them the wave clear to just kind of clash all the way through until they are full stacked with Ornn items on everybody's hands. But in the interim, we are going to be taking a quick break for our spectator delay. Don't go anywhere. We will be back in about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, plus or minus, and hopefully you have music this time.
game 2, and we have flipped styles of draft as well. These teams have opted in for a much more grindy game. We see tanks all over the place as opposed to pure engage. But we are going to see a very similar thing actually coming out from the blue side this game. Going to be invading for that ward. Rindo being cheeky with these little emotes is going to find the ward onto the red buff. And that will be it for this invade. But something interesting to note is that Top Dream has decided to go for this refillable potion start, which is something that we see Orange do a decent amount. And it will allow them actually to pick up both refillable and a Doran's shield before they have to base a second time.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the cheeky things about the passive there, right? You just kind of craft yourself something a little nicer than what anybody else has the opportunity to walk in a lane with. It is what we in the industry would call a 5-head move. That was a joke, folks. I'm old. Anyways, getting into this, I'm really interested to see how this mid lane plays out. It's going to be a big cat and mouse game of harass, right? Ziggs obviously being able to do it from farther behind the minion line, but I would say that overall Cassiopeia is going to have a bigger advantage in the harass just because of the damage over time as well as the ability to burst harass a little better. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. BKP picking up the first 100 HP though.
Yeah, I mean, BKP does outrange the Cassio and should be able to potentially find a lead there if they do not step too far forward. But with both junglers starting these top sides, we look to be having a full clear battle. And honestly, kind of interesting to see Llama pathing away from their bot side. Purely because, you know, Bubster and Blobby are going to be playing this duo that really like to push early and be aggressive.
Yeah, so, I agree. And
so you, sorry, so just let me finish. And so you'd expect, you know, a Llama to path towards, you know, the potential gank opportunity that will be created by Blobby and Bubster, you know, just doing what their lane does.
Bobby and Blubster.
Nah, I combine them.
Blobby.
Yeah, they're just
no,
Blobby,
I fully agree. You were right.
Bubby?
Blubster?
Blubster, Bubby. Oh, yeah. Wait, hold on.
I fully agree. I think pathing upwards is honestly going to be the weird thing here because this top lane matchup, like nothing's going to happen up here for a long time. This is going to be a wet noodle fight, and if even that. But it looks like we have a level 2 coming down, level 3, sorry, for Llama down here. Flash gone. Yeah,
and Llama is sort of going to do what Shady Gecko did in that first game and waste a whole lot of time after their first 3 camps, right? we talked about it being strange for them to path up, but turned out they were just trying to potentially, you know, bait out an over-aggressive bot lane and catch them before they're able to crash away. But speaking of crashing waves, BKP is trying to get theirs in, and will get caught out by Llama, but his, flash coming will not land the E stacks, but here comes Shady Gecko onto the bot side, does force the flash from Dragon Mooncake, will get pulled back as, you know, I guess the fight's over as the director wants to bring us back top.
Gotta love AutoCam, gotta love AutoCam. It decides whether or not we get to watch people live or die, let alone whether they live or die. Interesting engage in the mid lane there. I want to point out the kind of slow usage of the miasma. Sorry, the miasma by alternative there. The bomb did go down. Like the satchel charge did go down for BKP, but they didn't throw the miasma on top of it. They waited.
Without the bumper, the exhaust goes down, and Ohani is just gonna casually pick up the first blood onto the Lucian. Bubster without flash being a little bit too over-aggressive. And speaking of over-aggressive, Shady Gecko is gonna look to maybe punish the spot side. But on the top side, off camera, both flashes were blown as Rindo was forced to flash away from Top Dream, who was very close to picking up first blood themselves. And this game is maybe the bot lane definitely is not going how we anticipated it to be.
No, I mean, it's the aggression that we expected, but the turnaround definitely did not turn out properly. And now Ohani 7 CS ahead. This is going to level out a little bit as Lucian does catch the wave under his tower here. I apologize to everybody. I talked right through that because I thought there was no way that Dragon Mooncake would land that hook through those minions, and he just proved me foolish.
Yeah, I mean, it was very nice to play from Dragon Mooncake. Knew that Bubster, I keep doing it. Knew that Bubster did not have the flash as Rindo is going to try and hold this wave. That is a massive wave to try and hold, however. Is going to be forced to use their last refill, or sorry, one of their refillable potions, and it's not even going to get the hold as Top Dream just walks it in. And something to note actually is that Top Dream is not using their TP. I think it's just going to instead walk to the river, construct their item, and then come back.
Yeah. I mean, if you can.
Take the base. Yeah, if you can. The only difference, the only bad thing though, is that they're not going to be able to refill their mana bar, but does have the biscuits and should be able to actually sustain in lane for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I would say ultimately it's a good decision. It keeps the pressure there. You don't lose anything. The wave is now stacking back towards him as well. So Top Dream, living the Top Dream in this moment, knowing that there's absolutely nothing in the top jungle for any pressure to come up. So if Llama does decide to come up there, it's a huge loss of time. As long as Top Dream doesn't die, there's nothing that he can take as a result. So Shady Gecko, you can see him on the minimap, just kind of finishing clearing out the last of his Raptors camp there, and now they're both going to be looking for something in this bot lane. You can see the pings, they're coming down. Dragon has spawned, and we are going to see something break out.
Bubster going forward is going to get hooked by Dragon Moonkick, though. A little bit too over-aggressive as the root does not land from Mohani, but Bubster, without the flash, is just going to go down to Llama, who found a very nice gank there. And honestly, that's just Bubster being far too aggressive without the defensive summoners.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He does have the heal up now. Didn't have the flash. Won't have the flash for a little bit still, but you got to be a little aware of the fact that you have no vision. I was just talking about the map state of how everybody would know that there was no reason for the junglers to be top lane and they would be pathing bot lane. So you kind of got to be aware of that yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so credit to Hardhead Zone. You know, just before that play had happened, right, Llama had swept their way into the bot side river bush, and pings had gone down onto the Wolves Raptors of Shady Gecko, which is exactly where he was. And so, you know, Hardhead Zone knew that the Zac would be around that mid lane and would not be nearly close enough to respond to a play onto the bot side. I mean, I'm sure they didn't realize how clean the fight would actually be, you know, landing the hook again through the minions as Bubster got far too close to the anchor man. But I mean, again, very well played by Hardhead Zone, and we're seeing them continue this momentum into game 2.
Yeah, they're just playing so incredibly clean right now. Oh no, Bubster, this is not a good situation to be in.
The wave
Stay
is
behind your
coming
minions.
to you.
Stay behind your minions.
No. Don't dash. Don't dash
You
going
called
in.
it.
Don't dash. Bubster forced the flash out, but Shady Gecko is here this time. The Mega Bomb does come in as they are going to be able to find the trade back kill onto Sejuani, but no flash on Dragon Mooncake. Means that they could go down here, and all 5 members, they have no idea that Top Dream is here, but is going to show on the wave. Does have the Call of the Forge God. We will see how Dorado game decides to play. Call of the Forge God does come down, but Bubster is going to take 2 tower shots. Shady Gecko will go down into the passive after tanking this. Actually, no, will not. Wow, just very nicely played from the side of Dorado, but actually it looks like Shady Gecko will go down there as they were tanking tower before going into the passive, and so just a very nice 2-for-1 trade coming out for Dorado Gaming. Actually, 3-for-1 as they're able to pick up Llama beforehand.
Yeah, beautiful 3-for-1 play right there. Drake already down, and a lot of pressure on this mid lane. Flipping over for myself. That is a plate going over to alternative, and the TP being blown as well. So, you know, BKP coming back. He does have the red buff in this mid. That could definitely become a big problem as well. Oh my god, the Mundo animation. I haven't seen this before.
Yeah, just bashing the turret with his head.
Oh, I love it. Rychainz.
It's very on brand for the...
It's beautiful.
As some words being exchanged in the bot side, Dragon Mooncake wants more to be sent next time. I only comment on this because we can see it on stream, a little banter going on. But ultimately, you know, while this is all happening, Herald is going to be picked up by Llama on this blue side here, and it's going to be very nice, right? Because not only is that, you know, good for your team, right? You get the 250 gold potentially from using that onto a tower. It also denies the combination that Dorado Gaming would have had combining it with the Ziggs, right? Because, you know, we have to remember Ziggs has the satchel that will be able to knock down turrets from as much or from as little as 20. I think it's what, 25%?
Currently, we are looking at 25%. Yeah, so basically one charge, a couple of autos, and a satchel.
Yeah, and that would be a tower. But Llama doing a nice job to deny that means that, you know, they will path down and potentially try and get this gold onto the Xayah and really look to accelerate their carry even more, which is kind of what you have to do in this game, right? There's so much tanking going on both sides that there has to be a hyper carry fed in order to break through these front lines.
Yeah, and I mean, you can feed the hyper carry all you want. This is just not. I don't know what to expect going on right here. It's alternative playing super aggro right now. BKB trading back incredibly effectively.
Ooh.
What?
Flash coming out from Alternative is going to force the flash trade. Will BKP go down? No, will not. But the Petrifying Gaze just landing a little bit short. BKP, I don't know if that was a reaction, a prediction, or just naturally backstepping, but either way, does not get hit by the ultimate from Cassio, is going to be able to find a way out of that fight with their life. But honestly, a very nice window that Alternative found to go for that play.
Yeah, absolutely insane that he'd flashed back around for that after I was saying, yeah, a little aggro almost ended up under tower. He said, no, I want this. Ziggs is just now finally recalling, able to clear a little bit more of the wave.
Llama does have the Glacial Prison. Hook lands onto Bubster. No flash available. Is just going to get locked up by Hardhead Zone, and that's just going to be a very nice kill and a very nice, clean play.
Yeah, they're pinging exactly where they know Ornn is right now, just kind of clearing some wards, I believe is what he was doing. Still seen on another one. Blobby left alone down here once again. This is 0-3 on Bubster. That's not going to feel good. Saya up 3-1. I mean, we're currently looking at a 700 gold difference in that bot lane, and only 1,000 total in the game. So, or sorry, 1,000 the other way in the game. No, I was correct the first time. 1,000 in the game. I'm all flipped because the team's flipped on me.
Yeah. So I think the way you got into the situation is really unfortunate for Dorado Gaming, right? Dragon Mooncake found a few nice hooks onto Bubster, but I think the situation could have been avoided entirely had potentially the Dorado Gaming bot lane been a little bit more communicative with their jungler and called Shady Gecko away from their camps to fix the wave more often. It's not what you want to be doing with Lucian Nami normally. You want to be, trading aggressively. You want to be going, into the faces of your opponent bot lane. But in this game, you're falling behind, right? And now you need the support of your teammates to make this happen. And the team play is going to be happening on this bot side as Rindo is just going to bash his head on top. But ultimately, this dragon should go to Dorado Gaming unless Llama will hold on. Is going to find the dragon at low health. Is going to be blocked. Ooh, nope. Going to be forced out. BKP. Shady Gecko actually going over the wall. Does not have the passive. Is going to use the Let's Bounce to trade damage, and instead of TP going to be interrupted by Top Tree, means that Rindo Kobayashi now is in danger of going down. Top Tree going to get that percentage health damage from the Brittle as the fight is continuing on the bot side. 2,000 health on this dragon, and the positioning means that the dragon should go over to Hardhead Zone. And again, another wild, trade of abilities in this game, but only a dragon going down.
I really wish that we had kept the camera, or were able to keep the camera on that dragon fight to see exactly what went wrong down there, because it looked like Dorado had everything going their way. After Shady Gecko went over the wall, forced everybody out, came back around, I'm thinking, okay, I mean, Lucian should be able to just keep burning the dragon down. BKP can just poke everybody out. Instead, here we have Alternative getting yoinked back in mid, and he's just going to
Gaze available. Yeah, it's going to look to turn it. BKP is going to be forced out. Does find the stun onto Shady Gecko, but BKP is just going to walk it out. And Alternative not really forced to use anything besides that ghost. Oh, Flash Glacial Prison from Llama is not going to go down, but BKP is just going to do a very nice job finding the kill onto Llama with that Mega Inferno Bomb. But a trade of kills going out as Llama is going to be able to find that damage with the Glacial Prison.
Yeah, unfortunately, no real pressure anywhere else on the map, so it's not like Shady Gecko can take advantage of the situation of the enemy jungler being dead and go gank somewhere else or go pick up a neutral objective. It just is what it is. It looks like Dragon Mooncake pinging he wants to fight down here.
Yeah, I mean, they have the hook available. They have the item lead. Ulti going to come out from Ohani. He's going to try and get the flash pull back, but it's not really going to do enough. Exhaust going onto Bubster means that minimal damage is going to go back onto the bot lane of Hardhead Zone.
Oh my goodness, that play by Ohani. Using the feathers fully aggressively. Got out of the way of the bubble, which was great. But then having the awareness and the ability to then flash forwards, but at the correct angle to also then pull all the feathers back, snare it up, and then pick up the kill on Blobby there. Beautiful play by Ohani. Bubster just trying to get some damage done. Turret goes down. Run away, Mr. Lucian. That is turret gone away.
And while, the bluff is nice from Bubster, trying to use the culling to take away that wave, I think Hardhead Zone actually missed out on an opportunity because they had a ward behind the Lucian. They knew that he was by himself in this play, and we could have seen Dragon Mooncake potentially flash auto the Lucian. As Shady Gecko is going to whiff the stretching strike onto Alternative. Alternative is very short to have that ulti up, but is going to find Blobby potentially. Alternative is just going to walk it out and get a very nice kill onto the support of Dorado Gaming. A play gone awry.
Alternative proving to be incredibly comfortable on Casio. We did say that it was a comfort pick of theirs before the game as well, but really showing it just in these last couple of ganks in this mid lane. Shady Gecko coming in, and he has not cared at all. He says, okay, I'm just going to turn on BKB then and whatever, because the Zac does no damage. There's no threat. So once the CC's come and gone, the Snake has nothing to worry about. So Alternative just turns and burns every single time. Turns into Shelly getting picked up for them as well. Top Dream going to have to walk this one out if he can. Tower isn't much for the world up here either.
Are they just going to face tank it? Yeah, Rindo does have the ultimate available. Is going to pop the ultimate available. But Alternative almost goes down to the tower. But it should be just a free kill onto the Sword. Alternative forced to flash away from the Mega Inferno Bomb. Means that it's just going to be a nice 1-for-0 for the side of Hardhat Zone.
Yeah, BKP, if you take a look at the build real quick, just an item checking for you, does have that Leandry, so he is looking to be that poke damage, which they very clearly need against all of these tanky champions. That percent burn is going to be super helpful. But I mean, then you take a look down the line of everybody here, right? I mean, Nami with the Imperial Mandate, that's great. Lucian with the Kraken Slayer, typical. 2 Radiant Virtues being picked up, okay. But then look at the other side. Heartsteel on this Mundo, he's going to be a pain to the Lucian as a result of that. He's going to pick up a Thornmail at some point. Lucian's not going to be able to burn him. We already have a Warmog picked up for Llama. I mean, okay, that's going to be phenomenal. You're going to be able to take the poke and not actually care. Kind of starting to negate the Ziggs right there. You've got the Rod of Ages on the Casio, who also heals off the E's. Again, negating the Harass. You know, it's just, you're looking at, oh, I'm going to itemize this way because that's my role. And then the other team saying, screw your role.
Yeah, screw your role, as Top Dream is trying their very best to be this spearhead into the Dragon Pit. But I mean, it seems, again, a little bit, you know, without coordination from Dorado Gaming, because we have Shady Gecko trying to clear on the top side. As Root lands onto Bubster, is just going to find the death of the 80k for Dorado Gaming. Top Dream is going to try and trade back, does call in the Forge God, but the Mega Inferno Bomb is going to get a nice, good trade on to Rindo Kobayashi.
Yeah, big pickup right there. But again, a massive play by Ohani with those feathers, with those snares to pick up Bubster there. I mean, absolute masterclass on team fighting Xayah right now. Didn't get to see a whole lot of the laning phase. Obviously, they did quite well to survive the Lucian Nami backlash throughout the entire thing. But phenomenal awareness, gameplay, and ability utilization by Ohani so far. I'm absolutely loving everything that I'm seeing coming out of them. Kobayashi didn't necessarily have to die there. He tanked a lot of tower. But, I mean, if someone's going to go down, I'd rather it be my, at the time, 0-0-3 Mundo be the person who dies versus my 5-1 Xayah, my 5-2 Sejuani.
Yeah, I think Rindo did have the maximum dosage available. Maybe could have, you know, popped it for a little bit of extra health, but something to note is, you know, Hardhat Zone, you know, has a very good read. They banned the Xayah in the first game. They knew the strength of it, and they, sorry, I'm probably moving around my mic a little bit too much. They banned the Xayah in the first game. They picked it up in the second game, and they just know the potential damage from this champion, right? They know its capabilities. They've seen it in Ohani's hands, and they know that if we have this champion, we can do so much damage to the other team. It doesn't matter how many tanks you bring to the table, as Llama is not where they're supposed to be.
Llama doesn't really have much to be afraid of here, though. There isn't a whole lot of damage coming out of these two champions.
Yeah, even if there were, it has the fancy feet, and it's just going to walk it out. Does have alternative coming down now. And let's see if Dorado Gaming, you know, overextends a little bit. They actually are going to be walking right into the snake, as Top Dream is now just going to be left alone as the Arctic still lands. So does the Frostbite, rather, onto the Ornn now, and there's just nowhere for this Ornn to go. Does pop the ulti for a little bit of extra health, but it's just going to get frozen up by the Glacial Prison and taken down by this mid-jungle duo.
I absolutely love the Glacial Prison there, because it just made Ornn look so silly with the Ornn Horn come straight through him with absolutely no real purpose in the end. We saw a couple pings onto Baron there, spawning in just under a minute, about 30 seconds now. I mean, that was just incredibly well played. They knew that once Alternative came down there, that's more than enough damage to burn through one of these targets. And they, again, didn't really have anything to worry about. There was no damage down there between the Zac and the Ornn. They don't have anything that's going to hurt you, aside from, you know, basic little abilities here and there, which the Alternative is going to heal through one way or the other, just with the bites. So it was ultimately just good place, right time, good rotations overall. But again, Llama being able to recognize I don't have to be afraid in the first bit meant that he could also turn the engage before Alternative even showed themselves.
Yeah, and speaking of damage, I think Shady Gecko has missed the read a little bit, as they definitely missed the vision, as they're going to be jumping into 4 members of Hard Hat Zone. While they do have the passive available, it should just be taken down here, actually. It is going to be forced to flash up, but Flash Hook coming out from Dragon Mooncake means that Zach will go into the passive, will be traded away. Potentially, no, he's not going to be taking that tower shot, but XPKP now in a very painful spot as they find 2 tanks in their face, and it just looks like to be a slaughter for the side of Hard Hat Zone. They've taken down 3. Top Dream is going to go down again, and that is a 4-for-0 coming out from the side of Hard Hat.
And Mundo just tanking the tower through the fight, only half HP, not a care in the world. Turn onto the Baron here. Just another beautiful fight by Hard Hat Zone right there. I mean, it was, like you said, lacking the vision on the original jump in by Shady Gecko, and absolutely no reason for them to be afraid of him whatsoever. BKP looked like he should have had a good read on the fight, sitting off to the side the way that he was, but I mean, they can just walk at him half the time. Every single person on this team, on the team of Hard Hat Zone, I should say, can kill a Ziggs. None of them have to be concerned about fighting him in a heads up. It's really getting popped and kind of kited and slow burned down. That is the real fright from this character. And I love the fact that these hex gates are open. It just makes the game so much quicker.
Yeah, it definitely speeds up the pace of the game. But I mean, I wanted to talk about this, before Shady Gecko jumped into that fight, I wanted to talk about the read they had on this game. And so far, the read, I believe, is that Dorado Gaming just don't have enough damage. And so the fact that the Zac is not going for the Demonic Embrace in this game means that there's going to be a whole lot of damage left on the table that could have been brought out from this Zac, right? You don't have the backline carries in this game to just exist as a frontline. BKP does have the Satchel and Flash, should be okay as the jungle support of Hard Hat are looking for him. I say as Llama is not letting this poor Yordle live his life. Shady Gecko gonna try and find the trade back. Does not have the passive available anymore, but Blobby actually has walked himself into a corner, finds a nice bubble onto alternative, and will force 2 tower shots to go down. But I mean, this just looks like a very clean, split push for the side of Hard Hat Zone.
The fact that Alternative can take 2 tower shots, lose less than 30%.
Ooh, hold on, Glacial Prison coming out, hook lands as well onto BKP. No flash available means that they're just going to go down. Shady Gecko trying to use the less bounce in the back is just not going to be able to do nearly enough damage in the backline. Here comes the TP from Rindo. The flash going forward from Alternative is not going to find anything, actually. Is in fact going to get bubbled up. And that's really just going to be it. Just a 2-for-0 for the side of Hard Hat Zone.
The point I was going to make at the very start of the fight was, again, the point that I can make at the end of the fight. Alternative got caught in bubble, took 2 or 3 turret shots, and didn't even lose 30% health. That's the moral of the game right now for this mid laner. I mean, Alternative built a Roa, just as you called that he would, and has just lived his life from that moment onwards. Nothing to be afraid of. Nobody in this game is going to out-DPS him. No one's really going to be able to do much to make him feel afraid, and that's how Alternative loves to play. That's why the Yasuo did so well in the last game. That's just the playstyle that we see out of him, which is why we see the Assassins so frequently. But again, the story of the game is coming down to Ohani playing flawlessly. I don't think Kobayashi's going to get caught out here because it's Mundo.
Oh, hold on, actually. Shady Gecko is not going to let them walk away. Call of the Forge God, Gunsucking down, but the miasma is there. Rondo Kobayashi tanking 4 in the backline. He's going to get bubbled up, but the front line of Dorado Gaming is just getting melted away. Glacial Prison landing onto the X-Ray. He, again, is just going to take them down. Blobby does not have flash this time. Is going to land the bubble onto the Sejuani, but Alternative is just going to be walking them down with the poison, with the ghost. Is going to be able to find Bubster and should be able to find this series win.
Yeah, that's going to be a swift 2-0 for Hard Hat. Unquestionably cleaning this up in a miraculous order. Kobayashi tanking out absolutely everybody that could possibly even look at him incorrectly in that last fight. And just
Dragon Mooncake? Oh.
Sorry, even Dragon Mooncake. I mean, he's sitting on an even shroud. He's sitting on a cloth armor on top of it, just really kind of keeping everything up. But again, Ohani 9-1-6. We saw 10-2 in the last game as well. 5-0. And 9 for Alternative in this game as well. Phenomenal on all possible regards for them. 19,000 damage, 17,000 damage apiece. Zig sitting in the 17,000 range as well. But the story comes down to the bot lane for Dorado. 05, 04, only 9,000 damage. I mean, Ornn almost did 9,000 damage themselves. Sejuani almost did 9,000 damage. They just were not able to really properly pull together the Lucian Nami that is such a terrifying force in so many different aspects. And this time just got completely bullied from start to finish.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that credit has to go to Dragon Mooncake in that bot lane. Yes, Ohani was being able to do the damage and land those very nice feather pulls. But Dragon Mooncake started it all off in the early game by finding a bunch of very nice hooks onto Bubster, just forcing those flashes out and forcing those early kills on the bot side. And as a result, it just let Ohani, it even let Llama start to really snowball in this game in both gold and pressure. And as a result, we just saw the full collapse of Dorado.
Yeah, one of the things I like to draw attention to, which is very difficult for you viewers at home because you don't have the what I can see in front of me, which is the statistics from the game. But vision score is always incredibly important, and it's always something that I see as a phenomenal factor later on in the game, or at the end of the game rather, because you get to see who won, who lost, and kind of see the stats that come with it. In terms of vision score, one person on Hard Hat Zone's team had almost the same vision score as the entirety of Dorado Gaming, right? Dragon Mooncake had a vision score of 60. Meanwhile, your highest on the other side is 28, 26. It's absurd. One person can make that much of a difference in a game simply by providing vision. We talked about the importance of it in the first game with having to watch out for the flanks when a player is missing. We saw that there was some communication issues on Dorado's side as well about, sometimes Bubster would dive in a little too hard, things like that, not necessarily being aware of where the jungler might be at certain times. So that difference that one player can make by just kind of really pushing that vision score to the limit and beyond, allowing their team to make a little more fluid, a little more successful plays. Uh, I mean, it really can be just one person and one action.
Yeah, and just before I believe we're gonna have an interview coming as well. I'm pretty sure. And I think that's how we do this here, right? Oh, perfect. Ohani is going to be
Yes.
joining us in a moment, but just before we do, I wanted to note that in this series we saw two very solid games from Hard Hat Zone, and while this was cross-divisional play, we saw why this team has not dropped a single game yet in CCS.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that we saw last season from them. Absolutely phenomenal gameplay from Hard Hat Zone on all fronts.
Yeah, and just give us a quick moment. We'll be right back with an interview with Ohani.
I don't think we're going anywhere. I think we're okay.
Let's give him a second to jump in.
Yeah, it's all good.
Awesome. Welcome to the interview. We have Ohani here with us after a dominant 2-0 victory. What do you sort of have to say after that series? What's your reaction to it?
Honestly, I was going into it pretty hyped, Like I was told that this is the best ADC in the league, best team in the league. So I was going into it pretty hyped, pretty nervous, not gonna lie. And I think we just played better on all fronts, not gonna lie. Like top lane gapped, jungle gapped by having a way better tempo, like always on the map everywhere. Uh Alternative, Marcel did his thing in the mid lane that he's known for, and then my support Ben also doing his thing he's known for, and I think as a rookie, I think I showed out when I needed to. So it went well. Pretty easy.
Showed out as you need to is an understatement, man. Both games I pointed out how absolutely insane some of the plays that you made in that game. Number 2 on the Xayah, you picked up that kill on the Nami in the bot lane after you feathered out her bubble and then flashed forward and pulled back in for the snare to pick up the kill. And that's just insane awareness to be able to have the mindset of I'm doing this defensively, but I'm going to turn it into something aggressive. Do you find that's something that you do frequently? Do you think that's going to kind of become a staple for you? Because you did mention, you're new to the league. So are you going to try and kind of find your niche in that regard, or do you have a different kind of area that you think you're going to edge out for yourself?
I mean, I've been picking Xayah a lot, so maybe I will get known as a Xayah player. But like the reason why I don't know, I like going for flashy plays because my mentality going into games is I'm the best player in the lobby until I'm proven otherwise. So I play like that. So that's what I did, and yeah, it works.
I mean, both games, you massively, outperformed your lane opponent in Bubster. And you said that you went into this game saying that, how he's talked up to be the best ADC in the league. Besides him, I mean, you looked fantastic. Is there anyone else you're sort of comparing to Bubster, or do you sort of think of yourself sort of on top now after this performance?
I don't really know. I don't really know many names in the league. Like I'm a fresh face. This is my first season competing. I don't really know. He's the only one I really heard that was really good. So I don't really know. I don't know who I'm looking forward to go against next, but he was fun. It was a fun game.
Understandably so. So you mentioned your support, Ben, Mr. Dragon Mooncake. One of my favorites from our season 1 to watch play as well. You guys obviously have incredible synergy with one another. Walk us through what the communication between the two of you is like. Which one of you says go? Which one of you is kind of the shot caller between the two of you? And then how does that transition to the rest of the team as well?
So in the bot lane, pretty much all I really talk about is wave states, and I just let Ben know when I could fight, and then I'm just I'll just a lot of times in comms I'll be like, hey, we can look here, you can go, and then he's like, all right, I'm down, and he just goes and he does his thing, and I remember the first, I think level 6, one of the kills we got on Lucian, he read the dash on Lucian, he read the hook, he read the dash with his hook, and then sort of stuff like that just transfers over to the wider scheme of things in team fights.
Mm-hmm.
In team fights we have the what we call the go button callers. So on the Malphite or something, Rindo, that's his ult is the go button, and then after what we call the go button, it comes back to the damage sources are calling targets. So that'll be me and Alex a lot of the time.
Okay.
That's usually how the dynamic goes.
Cool. That sounds really solid from the communication standpoint, and we saw a whole lot of successful fights for you guys in this series, and I just wanted to congratulate you guys on remaining undefeated in CCS Intermediate. I know this was across group play, and so you're really showing the people, and I believe Group B, because I think you're in Group A, showing the people of Group B that you mean business come playoff time. And I'm not trying to curse you, but you guys are looking really solid. But before we let you go today, I just wanted to ask Ohani if you had any shout outs you'd like to give to your teammates, to the people around you, if you had any.
I mean, yeah, I shout out my whole team. I'm a complete random. What happened to me was I used to play collegiate. I was playing collegiate for 2 years. Dropped out. Just randomly saw a post that Hard Hat Zone needed an ADC. I was like, yeah, give it a shot, and here I am. And now, best team in the league. I think it's pretty fair to say. So, shout out them.
Yeah, best team in the league, and I dare say that you unquestionably held your own. So
thank you.
Hold it. You earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ohani, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who came by to watch this awesome series, actually, between Dorado Gaming, Iota, and Hard Hat Zone. This has been the CCS Intermediate League. We will be back next Wednesday. I believe there's more going on this week. I know we have advanced on Friday. I don't know the exact schedule breakdown, but we will be back this week, next week, same time. But yeah, thank you everyone for showing out, and we will see you later.
Thanks for the